Oh, they got like a taekwondo class or something going on in there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's out.
I wonder if the app will tell me like when we've hit like a mile or something.
Yeah.
I usually only do 2 miles, and then I come back. It's about 40, 45 miles.
Minutes.
We'll watch how these boys coming. Yeah, about 2 miles. It's about 40, 45 minutes. Depends on how fast I'm walking.
So you've been doing this instead of running for kind of like cutting weight?
Yeah, my knees just can't really handle it between everything else that I'm doing, you know, like my kickboxing and grappling and
Kind of throwing everything at it.
dude, my knees are just so wrecked. So, you know, running isn't necessarily like the best thing for me.
Let me give them a break on one thing that I do a week. you know?
Yeah, but I also I low-key want to do like marathons and stuff. That's like kind of my goal, especially like once I retire, but
Yeah.
even like right now, I think I just need to like get into it and start doing it. Because once your body gets used to doing something and you're doing it more often, then it's a little easier to do, right? And then also learning how to run so that I'm not injuring my knees, if that makes sense.
Running, yeah.
Because fighters run. I mean, I know a lot of fighters that run.
But there's an art to running.
There's an art to running. There's an art to running and then doing it, you know, so that you're not like destroying your knees and, you know, jacking yourself up for the rest of camp. And I like to run because I used to run a lot. Like, especially when I was like an amateur, dude, I would run so much that like, I ran too much. I used to run like 3-4 times a day, like 3 miles. I could do like a sub 7 minute mile, like 3 miles. So like my like 3 mile was like 18 minutes or so. I used to fly. I'd just be just moving. And I would just run because I'd be bored sometimes. I'd just be sitting in the house and I'd be like,
Need to get this energy out.
yeah, I'm bored, and I'd be like, you know what, let me just go run. I just start running. Or if I have a fight coming up, and I get kind of like, you know, get the nerves and the anxiousness, you go run, it goes away. So I used to run a lot.
It's like just a ball of energy that it needs an outlet.
It needs
somehow.
It needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not a lot of things you can do other than going to the gym, or which, you know, takes a lot to go to the gym because you gotta set something up to go do.
Yeah.
I guess you could go outside and like jump rope or something, but for me it's like I put my headphones in, you know, and then you kind of like, you're on your own. And it's also kind of like an active meditation for me, you know, when I used to run, like I said. So I'd like to get back into it. I mean, it's kind of active meditation for me when I'm doing my walk as well. Usually I have my headphones in and I'm walking, and I'm usually podcasting. Or I put on some music that I want to listen to, and then
Just chill
that's
out.
it. Just chill out and just go.
So what, we're 9 days out?
Yes. Yeah, 9 days out. 9 days out from the fight. It was funny, like some people were like, oh, is it this week? I'm like, no, it's next week. When people try to push the fight date closer than it really is, I'm like, yo, chill. Like, it ain't here yet. Like,
Not yet.
We got next week. It'll be next Friday. So yeah, I mean, it's funny when you break it down into like single digits, and it's like, oh man, 9 days out. You know, it seems like a little more like, oh shit, it's about to be here. But we still got a lot to go through before we get there. You know, still got the weight cut. I got all fight week. Got to travel, do all that stuff. Still got to finish out this week. It's not done. Camp's not over yet. You know, I think I don't think people notice it really, or maybe like, okay, bro, what you, the squirrel out here fucking me mugging me, you seen that? He kept looking back at me.
Dude, he hit you with the what's up, fool?
Yo, he was like, what's up, fool? You on my turf? I don't even like talking about like the fight coming up. Not like talk about the actual fight, but like, you know, it's like people see you every day, and it's like, imagine like you have like a project due at school, right? And your parents or your teachers or your friends are like, yo, big project's due next week. Like, have you been working on it? Or, you know, is it ready? And you're like, I'm almost done. I got some stuff to do with it. Like, oh, okay. And then another person, hey, bro, that project's coming up. That's 50% of our grade. Like, how far are you in it? That's what a fight is like to us. Like, You know what I mean? It's yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, like, you don't got to remind me that I'm fighting in 9 days. Like, I want to
Every single interaction.
Every single interaction. You don't have to remind me that I'm about to fight in a cage with some dude who's trying to murder me. Like, we'll get to that point next week.
You're like, I know. I signed up.
Yeah, I signed the dotted line. I've seen his posts, and I see him talking, and I'm gonna see him next week. I'm gonna see him walk around the hotel. I'm sure he's gonna say something. I mean, I don't really know. He's been talking a lot of trash, but nothing like malicious. But it'll be interesting to see like how he interacts with me when he actually sees me in person. Whether or not he's gonna like keep that same energy and keep saying stuff, or is he just not gonna say anything?
Like all that was online.
Right.
Now it's like normal.
Now we're in person. He may try to like keep it up and just like, keep trying to mess with me or whatever, but that still doesn't like really bother me that much. Like, I just don't even get involved in it really. And I feel kind of bad in a weird way, because I know he's just trying to hype the fight up. But at the same time, I'm just not that type of person. Like, I'm not the one that's gonna like hype the fight back up with you, Like, you say something to me, I'm not gonna say something back to you. You know what I'm saying? So,
like, I'm not gonna give you that rapport. Like, it's just not my.
It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm sure with another fighter, you guys could build up a great fight and have this trash talk and be doing all this stuff and probably make a bigger fight and a bigger commotion over it. But most people who know me, like, I know that I don't even like really social media at all. Like, for the most part, like, I wouldn't have Instagram or Facebook or anything if I wasn't fighting, if I didn't need it for my business. So that's why, like, I don't even post. Like, literally, if you look at 90% of my posts, aside from when I was making money from good money from Reels, they're all collabs. That's why I'm like, yo, collab with me on that so I can get some type of content. Otherwise, I'm not posting anything. Especially when I'm done fighting, or like when I have the fight and the fight's over, I ain't posting nothing. I'm a ghost. I'll be on there like commenting on other people's stuff, and like I like sharing Reels and stuff, like, 'cause it's funny. But I'm not one to post on there, which I probably could like get better opportunities as far as sponsors go, and getting more money for some things. Obviously increase my follower count and stuff like that. But I definitely would love to hire somebody one day just to do my Instagram and my social media for me, just because, like I said, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do it.
It's the unofficial ad right here.
No, what?
It's the unofficial ad for Aalon's social media management.
Oh yeah, right. Some of my favorite times is like when your phone is broken, or like your phone's like getting fixed or something, and you actually don't have a phone for like a few days, and you're like, yeah, I don't have a phone, so you can't really contact me. Bro, those are the best times. I love not having a phone. Like, it just feels so like natural compared to having a phone. But it seems like most of your life now, you don't necessarily have to have a phone, but a lot of what you do now, you kind of do need a phone. You know what I mean? Man, what's the time that I can't use my phone? Maybe if I go to when I do the 6-hour courses and stuff, like the run courses, and I go out and we're out in the middle of the boonies, like, I'm not using my phone out there. Like, if I'm out there, just don't even bother messaging me, because I'm not gonna respond. Like, I'm training from 8 to 5.
No time in the middle.
No time. There's nothing. I already have my shit set up. No, you're not gonna hit me up. I'm not gonna respond. And that's how it would be, like, especially because like I really want to hunt. Like, I want to get into hunting. Like, I've been wanting to get hunting for a while. It's just very hard to get into hunting if you don't know people who hunt, or if you're not in the area. Like, we're in the city, and you don't know.
Some people would land.
We're not on land. We're not like in the middle of like North Carolina or something like that, where there's woods right out back. You know what I mean? But for sure, when I go on a hunt, like, I'm not gonna have my phone with me. I mean, I'll have it with me at maybe wherever you're staying, but like, you're not gonna have it with you out there. So you may be out there for 3-4 days or whatever it is, and you're not gonna have any service. You know, you just get back to nature, you know.
And it's fine.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, I think. Dang, bro. Oh, she's looking at you, bro. These squirrels, bro, they ain't playing. Look, they got a squad over here. Look. You see? Look, here he comes. Look. He ain't playing. Look at him. Dude. Oh, snap. He trying to size us up. Look at him.
Dude, the way he's sitting with his arms, like he looks like how the kangaroos look. Like where they're just like they're about to fuck you up so much.
About to come put us in a clinch. Yeah, but yeah, I really want to get into hunting, like especially because like I want to do bow hunting specifically.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Cam Haines.
Yeah.
Like I read his book Endure, and you know, I watch his YouTube channel. He's got like this lift, run, shoot series on there, which is pretty cool. So basically what he does is he invites like people they think are outliers. So like he's had Michael Chandler, Chad Mendez, Ava Shockey, Derek Wolf, like just these guys that are people that he considers outliers in life. And he'll pick them up from the airport. They'll go run up Mount Pisgah, which is like down, like it's like near his house somewhere. And they'll carry like a 80-pound sandbag up this mountain. It's like I want to say it's like 10 or 13 miles or something like that. Like up, and they'll go down this other ridge.
That's a good track.
So that'll be the run part, and then they'll go the shoot part. He'll go take them to the bow rack, which is like this. It's purely a bow hunting store or place, and he'll get them sized for a bow, and then they'll go shoot. And the whole thing that he usually does with them shooting, he'll get them zeroed in and everything. They'll do all their stuff, and then he'll have them shoot a balloon at the end. And that's kind of like the whole thing. Like they're trying to shoot as far as they can out, and that's it's cool. And then they do a lift at the end, and they all do this in one day. So
a good big
they
day.
run up the mountain, they go shoot the bow, and then they go lift, and then they do like a really hard lift. And that shit just got me really hyped. And just the way he talked, like talks about stuff, and like some of the quotes that he always says, like I don't know, it just got me hyped. And just like the way, like I always thought I wanted to go hunting with like a bolt action, which I still want a bolt action. I just like guns in general, but you're just saying how like it's so quiet and like serene out in nature, right? And you're about to like kill this animal, and then all of a sudden it's like this loud noise and you're breaking bones, and they just got hit by something and they feel it and they're just like, oh, what the hell, and then they bleed out and they die. And it's kind of ruins the moment a little bit, or I guess it could, whereas like it's way more natural if you're just shooting bow like our ancestors used to, right? Because there's no noise. You find your animal and and it's just quiet. And the animal a lot of times doesn't even know they got hit or what happened. They get hit by it, it's quiet, and they bleed out. You get your animal, you go clean it, and then you gotta pack it out and carry it back out, And then I think there's a big satisfaction in providing, right, for your family, because now you have meat for however long that meat lasts you, which, I mean, if you go kill like a elk or a deer or something, it could probably last you for like a year or something.
Yeah.
Which is way better and way more ethical than buying your meat at the store, right? Like people go buy their meat at the store, they don't even know where this meat came from. They don't know, they didn't kill it. Like it was probably just in like a processing plant or something. And they have no interaction or like buy-in to the whole process. So I think
investment in it.
There's no investment in it. Like you just don't want to see it. You don't want to know where it came from. You just want to go buy it at the store. And to me, that's kind of lame. So I'd rather go hunt and get my own meat. That's kind of my whole plan post-fight. I'm gonna try and get like some type of sponsorship with some type of bow company or outfitter that'll hook me up with a bow or.
There's no way we can't find something.
I'm sure we can find something, right? Because I really want to get a bow, like I said, after the fight, and really just get into it. Because it's also like, I've never done it before, obviously, but I hear it's very like meditative as well, and peaceful. And I can imagine, because like even when I go shoot, for me, it's pretty relaxed. I mean, I know it's like loud and stuff like that, but it's relaxing. It feels good to like focus and
Therapeutic.
Like, it's therapeutic. And I imagine bow hunting, if you could be, not even just the hunting part, but just shooting in general.
Yeah.
Like imagine if you're outside here somewhere and you had a target and you just hear like the cicadas and the bug, just the noises of nature and stuff, and then you're just shooting into a target. It's probably really like cool and serene and, like I said, therapeutic. So that's kind of my plan post-fight. And then also getting more into running. Hence my new Brooks. I mean, my other Brooks are just old, so they need to be replaced. I didn't realize how active it was out here this late. Hey, you want to check out this water right here? I ain't never seen this before. This is like a little lake over here. I'm out here. I feel like I'm on a side quest in a video game. We're just go check out like.
Every time you're on your way to a main mission, you're like, what's that over there?
Yeah, right. You see a glimmer. There's a little glimmer in the corner.
Yeah.
It's like a mom and a dad.
Look at the one yellow one.
Yeah, a little yellow one. Look at the little tails.
Yeah,
Bro,
this
this is like super chill right here.
Ain't that a little fishing down there?
Yeah. This is a dope little spot. I've definitely never been here before. I didn't even know this existed here. Oh, bro, there's fish right here. You see him?
Oh, shit.
Right there. Yeah. He's popping his, you see him? It's a catfish.
I'm chilling.
You're just eating some stuff off the top.
I hear you splashing there.
It's probably the gator.
Yeah.
There's something big right there. I don't know if you see the big waves right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like right here.
Yeah.
That's probably the gator. I don't know what these people are looking at. Man, they found a dead body. Or maybe it's the duckling. The ducklings are gone.
Down there and save the
Oh
day.
no, it's the catfish. Yo, that's crazy. Look at them.
They just swung up that low?
Yeah, they're making their way through.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
They're like crawling through the trenches.
Yeah. They said, all right, man, we got places to be.
Dude, gotta get to the other pond.
Yeah.
When did you think that you wanted to fight?
5.5 weeks before my first fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
Well, so I tried out for, I think I told the story a bunch of times on podcasts and stuff, but I don't know if I told it on like this, but anyway, I played baseball my whole life, and I tried out for, we did a loop. This is Himes right here.
Yeah, we're back. We're back now.
Okay. Tried for the baseball team. I got cut the first day, and it was funny because I had really gotten into skateboarding at the time.
Okay.
And so I was skipping practice. I wasn't really like in shape. I was really good though. Like I could play baseball really good, really well. And the first day of tryouts was conditioning. We were doing pole sprints. So sprints from pole to pole in the outfield. And I was so out of shape. I threw up, and I got cut the first day. And I was so mad. I was like, dude, you didn't even watch me play baseball. Like, you didn't watch me feel the ball, hit the ball. Like, I was so good. And I got cut. My boy was like, yo, why don't you wrestle? Come wrestle. And I was like, what? It's like that gay shit? Like, they wear the tights and stuff? And he was like, nah. He's like, it's cool, man. And I was like, all right. So I started wrestling, and I loved it. And in my school, Plant, they don't really have a good funding for the wrestling team. So there was no like wrestling club or anything going on during the summer. So you had to kind of do your own thing. So I had my mom. I was like, yo, Mom, can you sign me up for like martial arts gym, like a MMA gym, and I was like, can you sign me up for an MMA gym or something? Because one of my friends at the time, he was actually professional already.
Oh, no
he was
way,
only,
really?
He was only 16. He was 1-1 as a pro for the RFC, local show, Brent Bennett. So he was kind of my inspiration for, you know, joining or doing MMA, even finding out about what it is. This is back in the time when it was like Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock, Chuck Liddell. That's when I started fighting and training. So then I joined Tiger Schulman's because it was down the street, and I fell in love with that because we were doing grappling, kickboxing. I'd never done anything like that before. So I used that to keep me in shape during summer. When I went back to school and we started wrestling again, I would wrestle, and then I go to Tiger Schulman's right after that. So I was just wrestling and doing martial arts every day. And then I graduated. I went over to Grace Tampa South, and that's all I was doing, man. I was just training. I was going to HCC for a little bit, and I was kind of like, I didn't really have like a plan, like what I wanted to do. Like really, like I was just going to school for like a business administration, you know, like real basic stuff.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. And I was like, because I had no clue what I wanted to do. And
it's like the placeholder degree.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
I'll just do this.
It's just good to have. And I never even finished. I went for like a year and a half. I dropped out and just kept training.
Yeah.
And I remember Arroyo had told me one day, like, he was like, yo, when are you gonna drop out and drop out of school and start fighting? And I was like 18. I was like, because there was no, at the time in Florida, there was no amateur fighting. It was only pro.
Really?
People didn't realize, people don't know that, like, you could only go pro. There was no amateurs. So at our time, either you were a pro and you're permanently a pro, or you had to go out of state to go fight amateur. So I said, I'm a blue belt right now. I was like, I'll fight pro when I become a purple belt, or if you can find me fights out of state, I'll fight as a blue belt as an amateur. So when I was 20 years old, Cage Brawl up in Tennessee, they had amateur fights going on, and he had already asked Josh Best. Actually, me and Josh Best were the two first amateur fighters out of Gracie Tampa South, which is funny, like ever. So we're the true OGs.
The founders.
The founders. And he was like, hey, and I hadn't really been training. I was kind of like on and off, like I was just like, you know, kind of BSing and partying and stuff. And you know, I was 20 years old at this time. And he was like, Josh just accepted a fight in Tennessee. It's in 5.5 weeks. He's like, do you want to do it? And I was like, sure. And like, I literally said it like that. I was like, sure. And then I remember being in my bed that night, and I was like freaking out because I was like, what did I just like agree to? Like, I just agreed to like fight some dude in a cage in 5.5 weeks. And then that 5.5 weeks was so hard. But you know, we went out there, we both dominated our guys, we won, we both got finishes. But it was funny because I was on the poster as a co-main event, like for my first fight. I fought a dude who was 3-1, who was the contender for the belt already.
No way.
And Josh also fought a dude who was like 5-0, who was also contender for the belt. Because at the time, like, Matt was just like, we were gonna murder anybody we fought, so it didn't really matter who we were fighting, because we were just better. So we both won, and ever since then, I've just been addicted. Like, it was awesome. Like, it was like the best feeling ever. And that was really just the genesis of, you know, my whole career.
How long after like those amateur fights did you go pro?
So I went pro when I was 23. So it took me 3 years. The only reason it took me 3 years is because, so it took me a whole year to get my pro debut. So I went 5-1 as an amateur. Really, technically, I should have been 6-0 because I lost a split decision to the hometown kid defending my belt. So it was kind of some BS, but it is what it is. And I was like, so I finished my amateur career on a loss, but I didn't really feel like I lost. So I was like, well, fuck it, let's go pro. And me and my teammate Marcos, we couldn't get a pro fight for anything. Nobody wanted to fight us. Everybody turned us down. We were telling promotions, we'll fight for free. pay the other guy more money so that we can fight.
Just to get the fight.
Just to get the fight. That's how bad it was getting. And literally, it took us a year. It took us both a year to get our first pro fight. So really, I should have went pro when I was like 22. So I waited, and like I said, that's how I ended up going. We ended up going pro, and it was for the RFC, which isn't here anymore. So we're supposed to do one more loop if you got time for it. But yeah,
I ain't leaving you here.
Yeah. Oh, true. But yeah, so so that's how we ended up getting our pro debut. It was the RFC. Joe Valdez. He runs the RFC with his wife Rochelle, and there's like a private guy, Shane. He kind of ran it too, and that's like that's actually one of Florida's longest running pro promotions, like in general, was the RFC, Real Fighting Championships. Billy Quarantillo's fought there, Favola, Edson Barboza. I mean, there's been a lot of people that are in the UFC and other organizations that fought at the RFC. So that's where I got my start. I fought for them maybe 4 times.
Okay.
I fought for the Florida State title at the RFC as well as the main event. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of the beginning of my pro career.
Did you meet Vince on? Weren't y'all on the same card of one of those events?
Yeah, we've definitely been on the same card, probably multiple times. I actually met Vince. Well, actually, I didn't meet him this time. So there was one time I was at Gracie West Chase, and Dan Rawlings, he's the Muay Thai coach over at Griffin Raw. That's his his school, but he also does like the Muay Thai for Grace Tampa right now.
Okay.
And he had his place over at Gracie West Chase at the time, so that was Bamboo's gym. And we were over there sparring. It was me, Bamboo, Buttercup, which is Jeremy Thurlow. We were over there sparring, and I remember seeing Vince. This is when he was just purely kickboxing. Like, he had little tie shorts, and he was really skinny, like me. And that was when I first noticed him. But we didn't really first like interact with each other until I was at Ybor City Jiu-Jitsu Club when they were on 8th Street, the old Red Mats. And he started teaching, it was called Striking Syndicate. So this is before Kaizen, it's called Striking Syndicate. And he would teach kickboxing. He was doing Bang Muay Thai stuff. And he would teach on Saturdays. So I go there for Saturdays and we go spar. And that was kind of how we first met. And then he stopped training there. So then we kind of split apart for a little bit. And then he was over at Gracie Pack, and I was training over at Tiger's World with Dev4. And he hit me up about like, getting some cross training in, some sparring, whatever. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll come over. And then that's kind of like how we really like met and started training with each other, was when he was over at Pack. And then we started training, and then that's when, I met Poho, and I was training with Ricardo and Amy, and Chandra was over there. So that's kind of like, that was like the beginning of like, our real relationship.
It's cool, man. So how long after the RFC was the Contender Series?
Took me 7 years. Yeah, well, 6 years, 2019. So it's the same issue as when I was an amateur. Coming up on the pro scene, I just had a lot of people turn me down, a lot of people back out on me, a lot of promotions wouldn't put me on. And so literally it took me 7 years to get to the UFC, and I only had a record of 8-2 by the time. When I got to the UFC, I was 8-2. So you would think in 7 years, you'd have more fights than 9 fights. I was barely averaging a fight a year. And it's like I said, it's mainly because nobody wanted to fight. Everybody was just scared. They didn't want to put their record on the line. And it was the same type of deal. Like, I'd offer, be like, yo, pay this guy more. Don't pay me, like pay them, just so we can get to the cage, we can fight. I need the record. When you're on the pro scene, especially on the regional scene, you're not even fighting for money. You're just fighting for a name.
Like
and
reps,
a record.
name, like, and momentum.
That's all it is. That's all you're fighting for, because you're trying to get to the UFC to make money. And that's what took so long to get to the Contender Series. And I don't even think I would have even been in the Contender Series if I hadn't signed with my agent, Daniel Rubenstein from Ruby Sports Entertainment, because I had just beat the #1 ranked fighter in Georgia at NFC, which is up in Georgia. And my friend Josh Rafferty, he was on Ultimate Fighter Season 1. I think I was on a 4-fight win streak, and I was 7-2. He was like, dude, he's like, how are you still not in the UFC? Like, how have you not gotten a call or anything like that? And I was like, dude, I was like, I can't, nobody, like, I've messaged Sean Shelby, and he's like, yeah, we'll keep you on call if we need somebody to fill in and stuff like that. And, you know, obviously he probably just said to be nice, but you got to know somebody. And so he was like, I'm going to hook you up with my boy Daniel. Daniel, man, he's like, you know, at the time Daniel was managing Jake Yeager or Jack Swagger as the, you know, WWE. And he trains over at Ybor City Jiu-Jitsu Club too with me, so Jake's super cool. And so he hooked me up with him. We had a phone call. I signed with him, and then he got me on the Contender Series. And then that's how, you know, I fought, you know, Stephen Wynn, and then, you know, got signed to the UFC, and then that was it.
Talk about your time in the UFC.
Yeah, it was cool, man. So the whole first camp, like I said, you know, we were out here at Kaizen 1.0. I will have to go back and show what Kaizen 1.0 was. But I mean, I was training really hard. I was cross training a lot of places. I was training over at Def 4. I was going to Grace Tampa South for wrestling and wrestling with Mahmoud. I was, you know, no stone unturned. I was doing everything I could to win my debut. Like, I really wanted to make a statement. I had an original opponent, Chad Ocho Peterson. He ended up pulling out because he hurt his elbow or something, and I kind of knew he was going to pull out. Like, he's soft. Then they ended up offering me Spike or Derek Minner, and my agent thought Spike was a better choice. My coach thought Spike was a better choice, so we went with that. You know, and I ended up losing that fight. That was in Norfolk. Yeah, it was just it was tough to lose. Like, anytime I lose, man, it's I mean, I know it's tough for everybody, but that's like one of the few times you'll ever see me like cry. Like, because I put so much into it and I trained so hard that I expect to win because of all the work I put in, and it never is easy to lose. Like, I've never not cried my eyes out when I've lost. I know some people can take it and like be very like stoic about it, and I try to, but I just can't. I just fucking lose my mind. And then COVID happened, like, or the lockdown happened like a week or two after my fight.
Really?
Like right after, like we fought, that was the last card pre-COVID.
Like normal crowd.
Normal crowd. That was the last card.
I for some reason thought it was like you were in like 2019, like right before it.
No, it was early 2020. Because I got signed to the Contender Series 2019 July.
Okay.
And then I had torn my my UCL and my thumb from that fight. So I couldn't fight until January. Well, actually, I really wanted to fight in like this December, but Sean couldn't find anybody for me to fight until February. So then it turned out to be February. It was actually on a leap year. It was February 29th or 8th or whatever. And then 2 weeks later, lockdown. So then it was COVID, and my girl was like, you know, you can't keep training because, you know, her mom, you know, lives with us, or we live with her mom. And she's like, I don't want my mom getting sick. So she's like, either you got to stop training or you need to leave. Like, go train somewhere else. So my agent was like, yo, and it just happened that my agent was like, at the same time, he had hit me up and was like, yo, it might be a good idea if you come out to Vegas and train out here, because the fights are going down at the Apex, right? So Dana had had everybody, he had us all on a Zoom call, and he was telling us that like he still wants all of us to be able to fight. He actually said, if you don't want to fight during the lockdown, he's like, I'm not gonna fault you for it. Nobody's gonna get cut. He's like, but I want to give you the option. If you want to fight, we're gonna do fights at the Apex. And this is before he had come up with Fight Island as well. And so, like I said, my agent was like, come to Vegas because the fights are right down the street. You'll have a better chance of getting a fight because everybody from Florida at the time was popping for COVID.
Oh, yeah,
Florida,
we were hot.
Florida, it was hot. So they weren't really booking anybody from Florida to fight.
So you can avoid that, be right in where the action is. It's
Exactly.
Best case scenario.
Right. So everybody just thought I like left my team and like, you know, because I didn't like being there because I lost my debut and stuff. And it was like, no, it's like I literally, that was like my only option if I was gonna fight. So I went out to Vegas. I ended up living out there for 8 weeks or 8 months with Coach Casey from 10 Planet Vegas, and he opened up his home to me. I actually had met Coach Casey right after the Contender Series when they had UFC Tampa had come, and he was here with Tim Elliott, and I remember seeing him come in the store, or maybe I think I was taking a card out. I was still working at Publix. And our Publix, you know, all the fighters were going there because it was right next to the convention center.
Gotcha.
So I was working that night, and I saw Coach Casey standing outside. He was waiting for Tim, and I introduced myself. I was like, are you one of the coaches? Like, are you Tim, or like, you know, whatever? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm Tim Elliott's coach. And then we introduced, we exchanged numbers. He was like, hey, anytime you're in Vegas, like, come by, like, come train. I own 10 Planet Vegas out there. I was like, all right, cool. So I actually went out there because when you get signed to the UFC, they'll fly you out and they'll keep you in a hotel for a week for free, because what they'll do is they do diagnostics. So they'll do a strength conditioning diagnostic, they'll do the DEXA scan, they'll do all this stuff. So you basically just go out for Vegas for free for a week. So I actually took Moses out there with me. Moses and Manny Sarah, they both went with me. And we went to Vegas for a week. It was really fun, and it was really cool.
So you did like all the diagnostics and got like checked in?
Yeah, and then I was training as well. So I was training over at 10 Planet Vegas with Coach Casey. So back to COVID, when COVID happened, and he was like talking about Vegas, my agent was like, hey, he's like, you can go stay with John Wood. John Wood's the owner of Syndicate. That's the other big gym out there. Syndicate, Extreme Couture, and then 10 Planet Vegas is like a jiu-jitsu gym. And I actually told him, I was like, can I hit up Coach Casey first? Because I was like, you know, he may have like a solution for me. And I already know Coach Casey, which I know Coach John Wood too, because I sparred with him when I went out to Vegas to visit. And Coach, he's super cool. So I hit up Coach Casey, and he was like, yeah. He's like, hey, he's like, I actually got a little casita in the backyard that you can stay in until his sister Amber, she has an extra room, but it wasn't ready yet. So he was like, you can stay in that casita until the room's ready. And I was like, all right, cool. And so I went out there and I stayed in his casita, and I'm just staying back there the whole time. Like, even when the room was ready, it was pretty like deep into like, I had already been there for like 5 or 6 months or something.
Like, you were established.
And I was like, I'm just gonna stay in the casita because this is what I know, it's what I've been doing. I know his family, his daughters, and you know, his wife and everything, and you know, I'm used to being there. Like they are my family now. So I was out there training at Extreme Couture, you know, Coach Eric and Coach Eddie Baracco. It was cool because like Vegas is the hub for fighting. Like, every week was a fight card going down. You know, Israel Adesanya's coming through. I, you know, met him, and Jan Blachowicz, and like Aljamain's training out there because he also left New York because of COVID. That's why he's out in Vegas like full time, pretty much. I mean, he goes back to New York as well, but like he has a house in Vegas, and like that's like his main place. So it was cool training at a high level gym there was like UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, PFL fighters in the gym every single day. like you can't not have someone high level training with you. So it was cool to see that level and train at that level. And then after I fought, I came back home. You know, everybody kept asking me if I was gonna move out there, and I'm like, I just can't live in the desert. That's just not my thing. Like, I've grown up in the, you know, this lush land, like the tropical and the wet and everything, and the rain. Like, it's just not for me.
It's just too different.
It's just too different. But yeah, and then I came back home, and you know, I got back with my team, and this is when Kaizen 2.0, which most people might know it as 1.0, but really it's 2.0, was open. And you know, I took up a coaching role over there as the jiu-jitsu coach because the original jiu-jitsu coach was gone. And yeah, and then now that's where we're at now currently. I mean, we're not at Kaizen 2.0 now, we're at the new Kaizen 3.0, but that's how I became solidified into the gym, and then training full-time with Vince. Oh, so then we got back to the regional show. So then we got, you know, once I got released from the UFC after losing that fight to Uros, you know, I signed a multi-fight deal with Fury, and then we got two wins in Fury, and those were my first 2 fights with Vince as my head coach. And you know, now we're in Bellator. We've got 1 dub underneath us, and then we've got our fight coming up in 8 days, and that'll be our next dub.
Do you think of yourself as a different person when you're getting ready for a fight? Do you see like and feel a shift?
Yeah, I think I become a little more selfish, which you have to, because it's your fight. Like, nobody else is fighting for you. It's purely going to be you in the cage, so you have to do things how you think you need to. Obviously, you work with your coaches and stuff, but you know, you become more selfish as far as like outside the cage. Like, you know, I'm not going to be going out doing some bullshit, and you know, if I feel like I don't want to go, I don't know. I place I guess when I'm not in fight camp, or when I'm in fight camp, I use my energy differently, right? My mental energy, my physical energy gets placed differently, because I know that I'm in camp. I need to rest, and I need to save my energy for camp, or for you know, training the next day. You know, I can't be up till like 2 in the morning watching YouTube videos, you know, like I normally might be. You know,
there's a lot more intentionality.
There's a lot more intentionality and presence and consistency, because like when you're not in camp, I don't have to be at the gym every day, twice a day. You know what I mean?
As regimented.
I'm definitely there every day because I'm already training, and I'm also coaching, and I'm doing privates and stuff. But there's no like emphasis on me having to be there, right? And when I'm out of camp, I'm just a little more chill, you know, because there's no like looming cloud of death following me. That's what it feels like sometimes with a fight, because it's always on the back of your mind, you know? There's never a point to where, like, there's never a point that it doesn't feel like there's a cloud or something hovering over you. It's just always, the fight's always in the back of your mind. Always. You could be 8 weeks out from the fight, nowhere near the fight. It's just right here. Like, I know I have a fight coming up.
Once you sign.
Once I sign, and I know that everything I do from that point up until the fight could affect how the fight goes. So I have to make the right choices for that. In this camp, we started 10 weeks out. I knew about this fight probably like 11 or 12 weeks out. So really, I fought my first fight in Bellator. 3 weeks later, we signed for this fight. So I really didn't have any time to like decompress and chill and like, you know, take some time to really like get better and do some things that we wanted to. But we didn't want to turn down the matchup and the opportunity. You know, when the opportunity comes knocking, you open the door, right? And it's also like Bellator, a lot of times you only fight twice a year, from what I've heard from my agent, from other people. So me being able to fight, so if I fought again 5, 6 months later, because it's usually 5, 6 months. It would be like February or March, maybe April.
Right.
I'll have fought 3 times within 12 months, which way ahead of schedule than most fighters get. So I can't turn that down. And I'm making more money. You're only making money when you're fighting, right? So, yeah, so that's really just the difference between being in camp and out of camp. Out of camp, I can do what I want. I can eat what I want. I can stay up as late as I want. I can be lazy. You know, when I'm in camp, everything has to be scheduled. There's a purpose for me going to the gym. There's a purpose for when I get up, what I'm eating. You know, and this whole camp, for me, the whole thing has been brick by brick, no stone unturned. You know, burn the ships, right? Because there's no going back. And, you know, that's kind of like my whole credo for this whole camp has been. And I've put 110% into this camp. Not that I don't do it every camp, but I feel like this camp, I put in, I don't know who that is. I put in so much work and sacrifice and time that there's just no way I can fail. Regardless, even if like win, lose, or draw, I've done everything I possibly could to win this fight. Like I haven't done anything that, you know, would jeopardize me losing this fight. If I lost the fight, it'd be because maybe Alfie was better that day, or for some reason I didn't show up, but it's not because of me being unprepared. So I just need to make sure I go out there, have the right mindset, and, you know, I'm able to, that's always the biggest thing that you're worried about as a fighter. It's not losing or disappointing anybody. It's just, it really is, I guess it's disappointing yourself and not fighting to your best ability. If you go out there and you leave it all out in the cage and you still lose, it doesn't feel that bad. I mean, it feels bad, but it's not as bad as you going into a fight and not leaving it all in the cage and doing as much as you possibly could have done to win. Because when you don't leave it, when you don't leave it out there and give everything you have, you got some stuff left in the tank. That's what feels really bad. It feels really stingy. Like that's a stink you don't want on you, you know?
What do you think it takes to get in the cage?
Courage, character, integrity. You know, you just, I have seen people that, you know, they had a fight and they're supposed to go into the cage and they literally leave the venue. Like they've left the venue because they were so scared in the parking lot. They just drove off, which is crazy. But it's kind of like making a commitment to something and then fulfilling that commitment, right? Like I know I'm gonna fight on this day. Regardless of what happens, I'm gonna do my job. I have two jobs. Make weight, I always make weight, and then get in the cage and fight. And I know for sure I'm gonna do those two things. That's part of, like I said, being a fighter and just having the integrity to complete what you started. I signed a contract and I'm gonna fulfill it.